following announcement has been paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hello, ladies. Remember me? Let me talk to you, dummies.
It's now time
It's theater time. TikTok.
It's showtime!
for the longest running wrestling talk show in history.
We are huge. It's gonna be cool.
You're where it's at.
You smell like me.
Tune in each and every week.
And you better keep listening, or I'll come out of your computer
And turn it on for you.
or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in.
We've been known by a few names.
The needs of the many far outweigh the needs of the few.
The Interactive Interview,
Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Interactive interview.
The interactive interview. Interactive interview. The interactive interview.
Interactive Wrestling Radio,
Interactive wrestling radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive radio. Interactive wrestling radio. Interactive wrestling radio.
The Blaze,
Blaze 1260 AM. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
Blaze. The Blaze Rock.
and a lot of other names.
Weekend Warrior of Wrestling. The Pile Driver.
The EPA Wrestling Center.
3 Count Wrestling. The Hours Lab.
But it's all one show, the Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter.
The Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter, dude.
The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And your host from day one,
By ignorance or arrogance.
James Walsh.
Wake up, sleepyheads.
Dr. Carol S.
It all starts
What a rush. Oh, Boomer Sooner. Thank you very much. I got 2 words for you. Thumbs down. Breaking necks and cashing checks. I've heard a lot about you guys.
Check it out. Get out of my face. You win!
But I'm desperately out of time!
So what you gonna do when Blaze-a-mania runs wild on you?
now.
Hey gang, it's James Walsh, and I just wanted to do a quick intro to this interview. I've been blessed to be able to do this for a number of years now, and so far nobody's beaten me up. New Jack might have come close or thought about it, but never happened. But I always tell people that I'm honored to do it, and perhaps very seldomly is that as true as it is today, as I bring you a courageous lady named Rockin Robin Smith, who just was on Dark Side of the Ring. And I think you guys will enjoy this conversation. It is brand new. I know we're archiving a lot of our classic interviews, including the one with Sam Houston that we just put up. But this is a brand new interview. Brand new meaning June of 2021 interview with Rockin Robin Smith. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I really, really am proud of how this turned out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notifications bell. And always follow us here at WrestlingEpicenter.com. And without any further delay, let's get ready for Rockin' Robin, rockin' in the treetops all night long, hopping and a bopping and a singing her song. I could keep going, but I'm not gonna, because nobody wants to hear me sing. Let's get to it.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts. But no doubt, you must be listening to the interactive interview. And you better keep listening.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Joining us on the Newsmaker line is somebody I've wanted to have on for a long time, and now we're finally having her on after she showed incredible courage last Thursday night, telling her story on Dark Side of the Ring. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Rockin Robin. Are you with me, ma'am?
I am. Hi, James.
Hi, Robin.
It is. It's good. It's good to finally talk to you too. And like we were saying, you've hung in there quite a while for me, and we're interested even way before this stuff came up. So
Absolutely.
I'm flattered.
Thank you. Let's start out with the obvious question that everybody would ask, and that's how are you feeling after seeing the finished product of Dark Side of the Ring last week?
Well, I probably couldn't be more pleased. I had seen. I guess let me just I'll give you the backstory of it a little bit. Is that I had been asked probably a couple of times before finally saying yes, to doing the show, and because I didn't want to just come out and do a so-called hit job on the family or our father, anything like that, but after we talked a little bit, and the guys that created this and that run that show are just they're incredible. They're even more incredible than I thought in the beginning. But so after they had approached me, and I thought, well, let me think about it. Then I watched a couple of episodes on other families or other wrestlers, and really when I saw just how respectful they were, and because they weren't out to do a hit job on anybody. They've handled everyone with a lot of respect and a lot of care, and it seemed like they were real careful not to just tick somebody off, and which would be fairly easy to do, just kind of. That's why it's called the dark side of the ring, airing kind of the dark side of things. But it would be easy to embarrass people or humiliate even people, but they don't do that.
Yep.
And so that's really what made me decide to go ahead and do it.
Was it difficult to sit down and finally record your segments?
I mean, to answer honestly, I guess no, not really. I'm 56. Let's say I'm 56 or 57. Let's just somewhere in there. But so this is something that which I mean, my age or years gone by doesn't make it any less traumatic. Right. It really doesn't. But it's something that that happened to me. It's something that happened to, and unfortunately has happened to, I'm sure, a lot more children than we could even fathom. But like I said in the piece, that I think I got to a point where I decided that could no longer be a part of what guides my life, and there were actually quite a few things that I guess they just didn't have time to put it all in there. But there was a point where I think what helped me really was I stopped seeing my father as my father, and I started to see him as a human being, just some other human being, but not my father, but a very flawed human being, with this very bad problem. But once I kind of disassociated with, because I think what really messes with your mind is the fact that this is your father. This is a parent that is supposed to take care of you, that's supposed to make sure you're safe and wants the best for you. But this is the complete opposite. So I think the only way I really reconciled that was by saying, or just thinking that let's stop with the father thing, because fathers don't do that. They're not supposed to do that.
Right.
Unfortunately, it happens, like we said. But so when I started to try to just stand back and look at the human being, and I didn't really, I got to tell you, I didn't really spend a lot of time doing that either. I mean, it was just, this is, this is who that person is. This person has a very, very bad problem. I don't even know if people or doctors or whatever you call it, an illness or, I don't know, but it, it's certainly, it's devastating, and if the world could be rid of something like that, it'd be a better world. For sure.
And it's not happened to me personally, obviously, but it did happen to the first real girlfriend I had, and I can tell you that it was difficult from this side because she had massive trust issues, and you can't blame her for that. I didn't blame her for that one little bit, but there were massive trust issues. Did that surface at all in your life where you had issues with trusting people?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I guess personally, I can't think of any specifics, but probably if you called about 10 people that at any time were in my life, they might, be able to just call them off like that, a snap of a finger. But yeah, I'm sure I did. How do you not? I'm sure it does create some problems in, especially in relationships. But I don't know, and it's sadly I don't really have advice as to how to handle that part. The aftermath. I just know that I long ago decided at one point that, and just like I said in the episode, that I literally kind of woke up and thought, well, you know what, he ruined my childhood, so I'll be damned if he ruins the rest of my life.
Well, right.
But it was actually me ruining the rest of my life. You know what I mean? It was. I can say it was that, but I was the one not pulling it together, and so I thought, no, it's time to pull it together. It's time to move into being the person that you think you are or want to be.
Awesome.
And just, leave that trash behind.
Awesome.
Easier said than done, but James, I guess one of the biggest things about that kind of trauma are the tremendous amount of guilt that the child and the person, and then as you grow up and into adulthood, is the amount of guilt that you carry, because they have a way when a pedophile is grooming you, they have a way to a part of that grooming is getting you kind of involved, like like you're accepting all of this. By whether it be by buying you presents that you normally wouldn't get, or you go into the store, you pick out anything you want, and so in a way, they're making you a part of it because of that. You know what I mean?
I do.
And so you think to yourself, well, I'm accepting, I'm taking these gifts, or I'm taking these, like, for instance, our father used to, at a very early age, let us drink alcohol. He would even provide the alcohol. If you wanted to try pot, he would come back and say, well, okay, well, I confiscated a little bit from the boys, and even and then so here you go, and he would give it to actually me and my friends.
Wow.
And we're 14, 15, maybe probably younger than that. So
it's kind of funny. I remember Sam Houston, your brother, telling me when I said, well, my wife has morning sickness. He said, have her smoke a little pot. We'll get rid of it. I don't know why that jumped right out of me, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, well, yeah. Personally, I don't do it. I can't. I'm the type that I'll pull all the blinds and will stare at the phone praying that it doesn't ring. total paranoia. I just never could. No, that wasn't one of my things. I can tell you that.
I was lucky enough to have a cousin who since has passed on, and he said something that, eerily enough, I heard your brother Jake say later on, and that is, don't try drugs, because if you do, you'll like them, and it'll kill you. And he told me that in '92. He died later that year, and I was like, yep, you know what? I'm never going to touch anything. So, pretty boring guy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah.
All right. So, there's been some positives to come out of this, and that is that the wrestling world can finally put away the rumor mill that even I heard about and I didn't know for sure, and of course I never would have asked previously. So all of it now is out there. Howard Brody put it out there in a little bit in his book about 10 or so years ago. I guess whatever you let him get out there. But now, everybody sees it, and guys like The Rock put out an Instagram post about it and promoted it. What does that mean to you that the wrestling world took notice of this?
I don't know. I guess it's still just kind of settling in a little bit. I saw. I'm not on Twitter, or I don't have any other social media except for Facebook. Mm-hmm. I'm just technology is kind of not my not my forte. But anyhow, I got a couple of messages that Mr. Johnson had put something out on Twitter, and it floored me. I was was very, very happy about it, and very, I guess, honored that that he would say something. And I mean, just to think about it, that because from what I understand, he had received a copy of it about a week ago or a week before it came out, and that he had commented to the Dark Side team, just that it was a profound episode. And I thought, oh wow, when you think, so the Rock was watching me, it's like, well, that's pretty cool, I like that. I don't think that, because I think I was long gone when he when he even started.
Yeah, about 6 years apart, I think, from WWF days anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, I know he started up at one point, and then that excuse me, that's a bell ringing there. But he had started up with the one gimmick, I think, that didn't really fly, and so they go back to the drawing board and then come back out, and then of course, I mean, he had a super duper home run.
Yeah.
I just
probably the biggest home run of anyone, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, absolutely, and he seems like a very, very genuine person.
All right.
And so I think that's just so that was incredible. I was touched about that he would just take the time. Take the time and mention that. It meant a lot.
Awesome. Well, do you mind if I ask you a few wrestling questions?
Not sure.
All right. Well, I noticed in the documentary that you mentioned that you wanted to make the girls' matches as important as the guy matches, or as exciting as the guy matches. And I think you and Sherry did that. I was honored to have Sherry on before she passed away, and I still consider that a huge honor that I had her on. I guess my question would be, what do you think of where women's wrestling is now compared to what it was then? And maybe a two-part question, do you think you guys, your generation of WWE women's wrestlers, get the respect that you probably deserve?
Well, those are two great questions, James. Let's see how to go about this nicely. I think the women's, they call it a division now, women's division, I guess. That I'm glad there is one. I'm glad there is actually a place, again, a so-called division, that somewhere you can actually know that that's where you're headed. I think back in our day, I love the term the 80s ladies. That was I thought that was really cool. But so kind of the 80s ladies or that era, you were just kind of either booked or not. We were still considered. If you go back and remember that, I mean, there were, I think, no girls with really with any big gimmicks, so to speak. I mean, let me just say, look at Jake with the snake, the British Bulldogs with the bulldogs. You had all these great gimmicks going on, but so the women really didn't have. We were the gimmick. We were the gimmick match, and we on top of having no gimmicks, we also never had any angles to work. It was basically someone would just come open the dressing room door, yell in, and say, "Okay, it's a 10-minute Broadway," which means just do whatever y'all want to do, and Sherry's going over or Robin's going over, and it didn't matter. It really just didn't matter to anyone what we went out there and did. It's just do at least 10 minutes. And to be honest, most of the time we'd go way over that because we wanted to try to get something going, and most of the time we actually would, but it never really led into anything else. So it was kind of the girls. We were always kind of on the fly.
When they brought back the women's title, they tried a few times. They tried it again in the mid-'90s. Did they ever contact you about coming back and working with that crop of girls like Medusa and Luna Vachon and them? No? No, sure didn't. After I left, or after they shut that down, that was honestly, I mean, the last I ever heard anything from the WWF or WWE. I did, and it's common knowledge, really, that most people, and when I don't do them often, but when I do autograph shows, I have the belt. I still have the title. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
And and so this shortly after it, the women were over or done, or they shut it down. Then I spoke with someone, and I think it might have been Pat Patterson, that they were letting me know that I could no longer say WWF Women's Champion. You had to say former champion, yada yada yada. I said, well then, I have the belt. What do you want me to do with the belt? And they said, well, just keep it. I mean, no one's asked for it, so it's yours. I said, okay, cool. So I held on to it and still have it to this day. It was almost lost in Hurricane Katrina.
Oh man!
Because I was living in New Orleans. I was there for about 12 years, and had a house there that actually my house was about probably less than 2 miles from where the first
levee broke.
Levee breach. Man. Yeah. And so I had just boxes, a few boxes up in the attic, and which was the saving grace, because everything in the house, there was the water went almost to, it was probably just about a foot from the ceiling where the water line was, and so everything was just destroyed. But there were a few boxes in the attic, and lo and behold, I opened one, and it had the WWF belt, the UWF belt.
Oh, you have that too.
And yeah, well, I no longer have that, and someone else has it. A belt collector.
Okay.
Does have it. Yeah, and wink, wink. And but and then I had a pair of boots. I had an old pair of boots with Rockin Robin on the boots, and I still have those. And that's actually it. All of the outfits the ring gear, everything. Nothing else made it.
Oh man.
And those things survived that at least. And so
it was pretty
we'll
cool lighting the event where you won the title from Sherry. I think it was in Paris. Am I correct? Was it overseas in Paris?
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty cool looking set. Was there a reason why they chose to do that overseas as opposed to at a domestic show?
I don't have an answer for that actually. Because we never knew what or why we were doing anything. I mean, really, to be honest, it was just, well, here's what you girls are going to do, and that was it. And so we did. Like I said, without any real rhyme or reason. And then in fact, after I got the title in Paris, well, the program wasn't showing here for another 3 months, I believe. And so the title or the belt itself, so it went back to Sherry, and we wrestled here in the States for another 3 months with her still having the belt. And of course, I'm like, oh man, come on, damn. I know, that's just, I want to wear it. It's time, it's time. I'm ready. And anyway, so after they aired it over here, then Sherry and I made our rounds, and we did a whole, I think, a run for over a year, just her and I, just every night. And and then I think too at that point, there were so few women to draw from. There just didn't seem to be a whole lot more girls coming in, and so I don't know if it was just a lack of, really just a lack of girls to wrestle, or they just didn't have any interest in doing anything else with us except for being what they call a popcorn match, which is. I mean, I guess everybody kind of knows what that is.
Exactly.
But, yeah. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was, I mean, what a great experience. But I feel like we probably missed the boat several times on things that could have, or ways they could have utilized us a little bit better. But it's all in, it's all in where their interest is.
Exactly.
It's, you can make as much noise as you want to make, and we were definitely, we had the crowds popping just as much as, in fact, we would, oftentimes Sherry and I would go on, our match would be after Hogan, and because they would put him on right before intermission, so that he could fly out and get to the next, especially if we had a double. So he could go ahead and leave, fly out, and get to the next shot, and then here we come, and but we would get them going, and I mean the crowd would get behind us, and it was great.
Awesome.
And I think to do that is a tough thing to do. So I'm proud of that, but. And I've been talking so long now, I don't remember the second part of your question.
I think what do you think of the girls today?
The girls now, yeah. I mean, I think they're incredible. I think they're incredible athletes, and I think that, and I'm happy that there is a division that there is at least some thought going into the girls and the matches, and there are some angles. I mean, if I'm really being honest, I don't watch a lot, but I'm glad that they're getting a whole lot more exposure than we ever did.
Awesome.
So kudos to them.
So I was always going to ask you this question, and as it turns out, the song has actually started to be used on a program called AEW Wrestling. They use the old Wild Thing song that Charlie Sheen used to come out to, and the owner of the Cleveland Indians in the movie said, "I hate that effing song," and I always wondered if that was how you felt about the actual song "Rockin' Robin" after having that nickname for the past 30 plus years.
No, actually, I kind of dance around to it, and the funny thing is that I've never recognized. People don't recognize me as Rockin' Robin from wrestling 35 years ago. Occasionally, it's kind of funny. Occasionally, if I'm at a restaurant or something with a friend, or somewhere where you can play music or request music, and they'll go up and say, request, do you know Rockin' Robin? And all of a sudden it comes on, and we all have a big laugh. But no, but I never, or I guess the WWF never used that song.
I know, yeah.
It was never an intro song for me. And in fact, and that's another difference as well. We didn't, the girls didn't have the intro song. We didn't, there was really none of that. It just never stuck or never took off, I guess. And I mean, it may sound like I'm complaining, and please just know I'm not. It was just the way it was. You really didn't ask for a lot. You didn't really question anything. You were just you're supposed to be happy to be there. And we certainly were. But I'll tell you, I do today, in my life today, I'm very fortunate to say that I do well. In fact, much better than I ever did wrestling. So,
well, I was listening to Jim Cornette.
I
was listening to Jim Cornette's podcast before we started, and he was talking about the Dark Side of the Ring episode, and basically him and his co-host both said the same thing, that of the family, you clearly have done the best for yourself. What do you do, if you don't mind me asking, outside of now, long outside of wrestling?
No, I have been for the past about 18 years, so I guess let's round up, going on 20 years. I've had my own appraisal company, so I appraise houses, and I absolutely love it. So I go to people's houses, which is really another funny thing, because I'm just waiting now. Since the Dark Side episode came on, it's bound to happen where I'm going to, be at someone's house that they're going to say, "Didn't I just see you on?" Because that never happens. I think twice in about all of the 18 years, there's been 2 times, I believe, that someone actually knew, like their jaw dropped because I was standing at the door. They're like, "Well, aren't you?" And so. In fact, it's a big, I think we got into that a little bit on the Dark Side, talking about it, but it didn't end up in the episode. But what I was saying there is that that's what I do. I'm an appraiser, so I'm in people's houses every day, and so now I can say, yes, that was me. And some people probably find that pretty funny. But I mean, I have neighbors that if I've been living in a place for 5 or 6 years, whatever time, that never knew my background.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, all of a sudden they would find out, and I would know. Actually, I would know the minute they would find out, because everything would change. Because instead of I'd come down the road to pull in my driveway, and instead of just the regular hello, now they're jumping out in the middle of the street, giving you the the arms and the come on, let's go. And it's like, somebody told them. So now they know. Yeah. And again, nothing that it's not that I don't want anyone to know or don't want to share it. It's not something that really comes up. Yeah. And I think it's a lot of fun, actually, when they find out, say, after 3, 4, 5 years of knowing me, and then go, "Oh my God, really?" That's pretty wild.
So,
but
Dark Side did.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to step on you. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I really did. I was fortunate enough to find something that I really love doing, and it's, for me, it's a perfect fit. This business of appraising, and matter of fact, it's what's kind of wild is it's about as hard to get into as wrestling was, or as wrestling is. Obviously, I had doors open where other people do not or did not, and I was lucky in that way. But appraising is almost harder to get into because you have to, in order to become a licensed or certified appraiser, you have to do a mentorship under someone. So you have to have a certified appraiser take you on for about 2 years and to train you, and you have to do so many appraisals before you can go on your own. And the problem is that they certified appraisers just don't want to do it because the amount of work. It really is a lot of work. It's a lot of extra work to take someone on, and it's not necessarily your profit or your what you get out of it is just I'd say probably not worth it till they get to a certain point that it is valuable. So it can run you really ragged. But I will say because going into this, I didn't know any of that. I had no idea. I jumped in with both feet, and I about halfway through the course, I found out that you needed a sponsor, and and everybody else had one. It was their father or their uncle or their aunt or their whomever it was, and so that was actually the hardest part was getting in and getting somebody to take me on.
Did you want to say who it was? I mean, it probably has nothing to do with wrestling, but
no, it has nothing to do with wrestling. I mean, it's a great guy, great man in New Orleans, and that's where I was at the time. They Phil Pashota, and he's he's like he's like an uncle or we were very close. In that, I feel like I owe the career to him.
Awesome.
Just like Nelson Royal with wrestling.
Yes.
But so in return, I felt like I needed also to be able to extend that to someone since I got the chance, and so I actually took on, over the years, about 4 or 5 different people. And 3 of them, I think, went on to become certified.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Giving back.
Yeah. You got to give back. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have time for just a couple more questions?
Sure.
All right. So you mentioned the UWF, and I kind of popped a little. I don't know why, but I loved that company, and I loved that pay-per-view, the Beach Brawl pay-per-view that you guys had. Mm-hmm. I guess my question would be, as we know, Dark Side of the Ring did their special on Herb Abrams. What was your experience like with the wild man, Herb Abrams?
Do you know, I don't remember even meeting him.
Wow.
I really don't. I don't remember if we really dealt with him at all, one-on-one, or it was a long time ago, and it's not so much that I'm just an idiot, is that the memory, sometimes things begin to kind of run together. But I don't really remember speaking directly to him. I think it was another one of those where somebody came in and said, well, this is, your go 10, 15 minutes or whatever it was, and Robin's going over, and there you go.
Oh, wow.
And so I was set to be the champion for however long, just to start out with this company. And so it was an honor but that was the one and only time we ever worked.
Wow.
For UWF. That was it. One night only, then done. One and done.
I'm probably covering some of the B-sides of the greatest hits albums here, but there was the GWF, the Global Wrestling Federation, which worked out of the Sportatorium in Dallas, and you did a couple of matches there. I don't remember them ever airing, and I always kind of hated that they never aired. I assume that had something to do with because I know that it was Bull Payne and Samantha feuding with Sam Houston. It had to do with bringing you in to team with your brother?
No. Again, it was. I think what they would do is maybe plan a card, and then go, oh yeah, you know what? Let's throw some girls in there. And I really do. I really think that there was never the kind of.
I'm giving them too much credit then.
Yeah, well, put it this way, I just never got the feeling that there was a lot of thought put into it. It was more or less left up to us, which is like good and bad, maybe. I wish I could say we had more, more going on or more plans, but I mean, truthfully, no.
Oh. Well, they left the dark side of the ring where you guys were, talking about possibly eventually fully reconciling. And I know for a fact that Chris Jericho, I'm sure you know who Chris Jericho is. I don't need to explain that to you. But Chris Jericho did do some stuff with the Benoit family after narrating their dark side of the ring. Do you think you guys will ever do like a whole big family reunion? Well,
I guess a family reunion might be a little ambitious, but I've gotten. I think Jake called yesterday, and I spoke with Jake, and he was throwing out the idea of doing a signing, an autograph show, where he and I would, be. Instead of just in the same room, way across from each other, not even knowing each other are there, that we'd actually be probably, side by side tables and have a chance to have pictures taken and whatnot with two of us. Honestly, there's only one person on this earth that I know of that actually has a picture of Jake and I. It's a real rarity, and that's Scotty Schwartz, which is an old friend of mine, and he's best known, I think, as he was a little kid in the movie The Toy with Richard Pryor.
Wow, okay.
And Jackie Gleason, yeah, and there's a long story behind that, but I was an extra in The Toy many years ago, and then Scotty became a really huge wrestling fan. And then at the time, I was the women's world champion, and so many years later, here he is knocking at my door, and prior to that, he was this huge child star in this huge movie, and it's funny how where life goes sometimes, but I guess ironic is kind of the word, but anyhow, Scotty recognized right then and there, real quick, he said, hey, because Jake and I were standing kind of side by side, and he said, would y'all turn and smile? Because he knew exactly what he was doing. And he says, no, you can't find pictures of any of us together.
Yeah, I've actually tried. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. He does. He's got the one I know of, and that's about it. But Jake's idea of that was to maybe, have a rare signing like that.
Would Sam be invited to something like that as well, or?
I'm not sure.
Tough one.
That is a tough one. I wish I could go into a little more.
Yeah, I don't need
detail on that, but. It's the only thing I'll really say is that I wish him just the very best that he can get out of life, and I love him and hope that he winds up where he wants to be.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Well,
but
this past week has been a heck of a week for you. You've had to kind of bare your soul for everybody, and I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot from it. Yourself and Jake, and how you left that episode, and telling people what to do if you're in the situation that you guys were in. I mean, that was very much inspirational. And I said this at the beginning, and I'll say this: it took a heck of a lot of courage to go and do that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and but I know that we all go through just things that are just seem impossible to overcome, and impossible to get through. I lost my mother in 2010, and her and I were real close, and I still, just to kind of clarify something, I still do have a problem with what was said in the Dark Side episode about her and her role, right, with Jake. And I actually have, it's called a bullshit flag. Okay, so it's what it is it's like a penalty flag in football,
right.
But it just has bullshit on it. So I take my bullshit flag kind of everywhere, and I had it that day when we were taping. And unfortunately, it didn't. I threw that flag several times. I got the flag out, and so the flag was thrown. Let me just put it that way. And but again, I know that they couldn't put everything in there, but I was a little disappointed because I actually thought that was one of my best moments, was introducing the bullshit flag and throwing the bullshit flag.
See, now if you were still wrestling and you pulled out the bullshit flag, that would be that'd be a hell of an item, a merchandise item.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, hopefully, can I say it now? I'll say it now.
Sure.
Is that I will have some for sale, because I've been asked whenever I talk about it, just here and there, and so I've had people interested in wanting to get one. Where can we get one? So anyway, I have them, and I'll be selling them. Usually if I'm going and doing a signing somewhere. So you can get your bullshit flag, and the great thing about it is that you don't have to say a word. You know how sometimes you can look at somebody and you think in your head. It's like one of the things you see on Facebook or somewhere. That they have the mentality of a crayon or whatever.
I thought you were going to use the George Carlin line, but I'll.
Yeah. Okay. And what they're saying is just absolute BS. And so instead of fighting it, you just pull out your flag, like they do in football. Offsides or whatever, and you just throw your flag, and just you can throw it and walk away, and that just tells somebody everything they need to know about what you think.
There you go. That's a brilliant idea.
It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. I usually, if I have pockets on, I've got one in each pocket, because you can
never have too many.
You can throw a oh, you can't. Think about this, James. Like today or tomorrow, get up tomorrow, and just with that idea in mind, think how many times you could throw that in a day. There's a lot. I don't even have enough at the house here to get through a whole day.
That's true. The George Carlin line is when you meet somebody and you're talking to them and you think, oh, he's fairly intelligent. Oh, he's full of shit. That's the
exactly. And so, I think it's great. The flag says it all.
That's perfect.
You don't even have to, get in a conversation about it.
So as the world is starting to open up and all that, have you gotten any, I know you said Jake called you yesterday, but have anything concrete coming up about appearances and all that, or is that still something that's not quite there yet?
Yeah, no, I do. I have one in, it's June, I believe it's June 24th, and it's in Pennsylvania. It's called the Legends of Hamburg.
Awesome.
Don't know if you've heard of that, but and I'm not sure where Hamburg is, but I'll be there on the 24th.
That sounds great.
And there'll be a full day of signing there. And then in September, and really it's because I'm a main reason is because I'm right here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's a huge show during the day in there. In fact, Jake will be there. There, Sergeant Slaughter. There'll be a lot of big names actually at the show, and then there's a big concert later that night. And so I'm excited about that. And
who's playing?
I don't. Oh.
I put you on the spot.
Oh, they were telling me. I know, like a lot of 80s bands.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's right up my alley. I love that. And as you know, as I've talked with you or messaged with you before, I don't do a whole lot of appearances and a lot of I guess interviews, podcasts, and those sorts of things. Just only that a little bit can go a long way sometimes. Yeah. And I certainly don't want anyone to just kind of have too much of, the old 80s lady. So,
well, I'm so grateful that you decided to take the time to do this with me. And before I do let you go, and again, thank you so much for the time you did give me. I know it's a lot longer than I said it would be. Do you mind if I ask for one last favor from you?
Sure.
Do you mind? You probably know what I'm going to ask. Can I ask for a station ID? And just saying this is Rockin Robin, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
Okay, let's see. This is Rockin Robin, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter?
That's us, yes, ma'am.
Is that what you're... Okay. So, what do you... 1, 2, 3,
yeah, I'll
go?
do I call it the Wayne's World Countdown. I'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2.
This is Rockin Robin, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it, and I'm so sorry I took much more of your time than I told you I would.
Look, I wasn't even looking, and like I said, I really do. I appreciate your interest even before all of this. So you were certainly the first one, maybe last too. I don't know that I was coming to. So it's funny. I mean, I have gotten some people. Of course, they're hitting me up now on Facebook on the Messenger. And, I mean, it's kind of like text, if you don't answer in a day, they get a little buggy with you.
That's true.
And I'm like, man, I don't know.
I'll tell you what, and this is the truth. I must send out maybe 5 of them a week, and if I get one that bites or even shows the slightest bit of interest or even politely tells me they're not interested, I consider that a victory. So... You got to understand, it's like baseball. You're going to strike out more than you hit a home run. But thankfully, I got a home run out of this one. So I thank you again for your time with this one.
Absolutely. And I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you hanging in there. And it's good to finally talk to you in person. And so, I would say, I guess, that at this point, I'm going to kind of miss the messages on Facebook. So, every now and then, just throw me a hello, or what I'm saying is feel free to.
I'm sure somewhere in our political posts we'll end up crossing paths too.
Well, there's another big reason for the bullshit flag, and I got to tell you, my dream. I've actually had this dream that you're walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, and all you see is the lawn covered with bullshit flags.
Oh, that would be genius.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That's an idea.
Really
that's something that we should have.
Yeah.
We should have thought of already. But that's a heck of an idea.
Yeah. Or get somebody, like get people like Diamond and Silk.
Yeah.
To use them, and that's kind of what we're working on.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Actually, so
Your profile, as like I said, and I'm not just saying this to to kiss up or anything, but your profile went up a heck of a lot on Thursday by doing that, and
yeah.
maybe that's something that now with your elevated profile you could contact a group like Diamond and Silk or something and get them involved.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, because you have to catch, what is it? Strike while the iron's hot. You really do have to kind of catch it while that light is kind of shining your way. But we'll see what happens. All
right. Well, again, I thank you so much. I got an exciting afternoon. I got to take my kids to Big Lots. So.
Oh, go ahead. There you go.
I really though. Thank you so much.
Well, maybe one day the bullshit flag will be in Big Lots. Who knows?
Hopefully so. Hopefully so.
Yeah.
All right, man. That really,
anyway,
sincerely, I really do appreciate it. That was awesome, and thank you so much for your time.
Sure
that
thing.
was great.
All right, Jay. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll see you on Facebook.
Okay, sounds good.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
The preceding announcement was paid for by the Wrestling Epicenter.
On the listen, and if you like what you heard, I'm glad. If you didn't like what you heard, well, go fuck yourself.
Most people done hung up on me.
We had a lovely conversation.
What a show.
Oh, mercy, Daddy.
On the radio dial. Don't hang up. Bye-bye.